Hi, I'm Colin Seale, the founder of ThinkLaw, where we help educators teach critical thinking to all students. And I want to share ThinkLaw's top 3 back-to-school tips. I want to start by looking at this image. A few months back, we asked people to caption this image, and by far, the one that stood out the most was before testing, after testing. And this one stood out the most because it just seemed like such a shame that so many educators felt this pressure, this almost stifling pressure to teach the most uninteresting material because you have to cover so much quantity over a short period of time, and you don't feel truly liberated until after testing to really push for the engagement and rigor that we know our kids are much more receptive to. Here are the top 3 things that I've seen educators do to kick off the school year to avoid that place. Looking at math classes, a lot of times you take a diagnostic exam at the beginning of the year and you realize students are behind. And you spend the next few weeks doing all this low-level remediation. What I'd love to see is math teachers that decide to, while they're still doing that remediation, work in a lot of word problems as a way to get our kids super engaged in the problem-solving process, in the whole sort of way that we go and work backwards and parse through the language and really read details closely. That's going to help us with the overall problem-solving strategies no matter what kind of math problem you're looking at. But it's an interesting way to wrap in remediation with the rigorous learning cycle we know they need on today's state assessment when it comes to math. The second thing that I would like a lot of you all to take a try out is a whole take on the letter to myself. I know that a lot of you have seen these activities where the first day of school, students do a letter to themselves and then they look at it again at the last day of school. It is really cool that this one teacher that I know actually decided to do a reflection where you were almost giving advice to yourself based off of what you learned from the previous year. Look at the things that your students really did well and have them reflect on those strengths so they can make those strengths even smaller. Have them reflect on the areas where they struggle so that they can be proactive about that this year. So instead of doing a letter to yourself, think about it more as a reflection to how improve what you're doing for the current year based off of what you know for the previous one. And last but not least, at any given point at the beginning of the year, you should really think about this one thing. Wait time. Wait time. Giving kids 10 seconds when you ask those deep probing questions to actually process the information. Because one of the reasons that across the country a lot of our kids are denied access to critical thinking is we're literally not giving them the time to think critically, to undergo that productive struggle. When we allow for wait time, we democratize the participation process. We give kids that are slower processors, kids that might be English learners, kids that might be just a little bit more thoughtful, an equal chance to participate as those that always have an answer ready to go. So between using more wait time, thinking about a reflection letter to yourself, or using math word problems, even if they're remedial, to up the rigor from day one, those are some really cool back-to-school top 3 tips. Please feel free to share any back-to-school top 3 tips you have on our Instagram account at ThinkLawUS or on Twitter at ThinkLawUS. For more information about how to make critical thinking no longer a luxury good for students at your school or organization, check us out at www.thinklaw.us. Thank you.